What's up, dudes? Grady here, Grady's Gear, and today I am ready to do my full review of this guy, the Koenig knives Arius. Now, you guys saw my full unboxing video of this not too long ago. I mentioned in that video that this is the most expensive knife I have ever bought. Um, and, you know, I didn't take that lightly, guys. That's a lot of money. I paid $695 for this knife on the EDC Foundry drop, and I got lucky enough to pick one up. And I am ready to do my full review on this guy. I got a lot to say, so sit back, get some snacks, get some drinks, and just listen to me ramble about this awesome, awesome piece of EDC cutlery. This thing is epic. So, what I really want to talk about first before I get into how it carries, the ergonomics, materials, and all that kind of shit, before I even get into all that, I want to talk about where this particular knife and the brand lands as far as top dog American made knives. And when I think of like a top dog American made knives, I'm thinking Hinderer knives, Chris Reeve knives, Strider, those are like the top three, the big three that really hits people's minds whenever they're thinking top of the line manufacturing for high end American made EDC knives. And guys, this thing is in a league of its own. It really is, in my opinion. And guys, remember, this is just my opinion. It's not fact. It's my own opinion from having this knife. And at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's an opinion. Opinions are like assholes, and everybody has one. So please don't get upset if I say something and it's against a knife brand that you really like or something like that. It's okay that we like different knives. It's perfectly okay. I am totally cool with that. I mean, everybody has different philosophy of use. Everybody has different personalities, different preferences on what they like and what they don't. I know that, and I hope that you guys do too. So please take what I say with a grain of salt. This is just my opinion, and that's it. So, but where does this knife fall as far as into those three knives? Well, like I said, it's in a league of its own. In my opinion, this knife is superior to those knives. I've owned Hinder. I've owned a couple of Hinders. I've never owned a Strider. Mainly just because of the price, and they're kind of hard to come by, and it didn't have all the things that I necessarily wanted in an EDC knife. Kind of the same thing with a Chris Reeve, but I got plenty of friends who have had Chris Reeve knives, and they all say this is superior quality and just a superior knife in general. One of the things that I noticed right off the bat that people were saying when you compare this to like Chris Reeve knives, because these are Koenig Arius are made in Idaho, just like Chris Reeve knives are. I believe he's like 15 minutes down the road from Chris Reeve knives. Bill Koenig is the finishing on the titanium. It's a blasted titanium, but one of the things that I've heard of from friends of mine who have gotten like a Chris Reeve knife is that the blasted titanium almost immediately develops snail trails very quickly from when the first week that they put it in their pocket. And guys, I have been carrying this a shit ton. I'm not exaggerating. I've carried this every single week, multiple times a week. I have really carried it, used it, loved it, and just gotten to know this knife. This is a very expensive knife, and I'm not going to sit there and just put it in a display case and Google it, and that's it. You know what I mean? I'm going to sit there, I'm going to use it, I'm going to carry it, I'm going to enjoy it for what it was intended to be, and that's a everyday carry knife. And I have absolutely loved it. But anyway, so the finishing on here, I've carried this a shit ton, and I have no snail trails. I do have some fingerprints, and that's just from the oils in my skin. But I have no snail trails at all. So that I don't know how they do this process with their bead blast, but I put it in my pocket and carried it a ton, and I don't have the first scratch on it. It's held up amazing. So whatever they're doing over there, I have no idea how it works with their how they blast their titanium. I've heard before it was called something, and I can't remember what the hell it was called. But very, very well done on here. And I have not babied it. I've carried it and used it, and it's just the finishing on this is held up exceptional. Just awesome. Now, guys, I know a lot of you have said, when I said that this may be in the running of my new favorite knife, and it is. It is. This is my new favorite knife right now in my collection that I own. I absolutely love it. It's a full-size knife, guys, which is not exactly my thing. I typically go for the knives on the smaller side. Now, I have said in the past, though, I will carry a full-size knife if it meets the criteria of what I want in an EDC knife. And this thing checks every single box that I want. And this isn't like a gushing over Koenig or anything like that. This is just my honest thoughts about carrying this knife. I would have never bought this knife had I not got one in for review from Kyle, DTO Knives and Gear. If he hadn't sent me his, it wouldn't have persuaded me to want to buy one. Because I get a chance to look at a bunch of different stuff on the channel, really high-end knives, and typically once you have them for 2 or 3 weeks, that itch kind of goes away. Like, I experienced it, it was great. Do I really want to buy it? Most of the time, no. I got to experience it, and that was good enough for me. This was not the case. Immediately, I had to find one for myself in a configuration that I wanted. Kyle's was a flipper delete with a choil, and that works for him because Kyle's got really big hands and he needs that choil. I wanted the flipper, so I had multiple deployment options. So I have not only the flipper tab, which works fantastic, but I also have middle finger flick with the hole. And that's exactly what I wanted. Mix that with this thing's birth card is my son's birthday, and it was just a win-win. I've really enjoyed it. But let's get into the materials real quick. Obviously, like I said, you got titanium. The hardware is all titanium, and this is all blue anodized, which is what I paid a little bit extra for. I believe the base prices on these go for about $660 now. A while back, they were going for like $600, maybe $650. Now they're at $660. Demand is high, so that just happens, guys. So base price, I think, is around $660. I paid $695 for this because I wanted the all blue hardware, as you can see on the pivot right here, the screws, the back spacer, all the hardware is blue. I just love that contrast between the blue and gray. I think it looks sexy as hell, and I just freaking love it. It was worth the extra money to me. You are getting M390 blade steel. And while I'm on that, I will show you guys, if I can find it, right there. You have to open it just ever so slightly so you can see where it says M390. I love the way that they did that, so it hides it on the blade fairly well. You can see it right here when it's closed, just a little bit. Overall, it's a very sterile knife. All you see is Koenig right there. And then other than that, and the small print or the blade steel, which it hides when it's completely open, is a very sterile knife. So M390 blade steel, really, really nice and sharp, hollow grind on here. Very, very nice and slicey. Perfect for me, guys. I'm not an edge snob, you know what I mean? It doesn't need to be necessarily a laser beam. As long as it cuts packages very well, it can go through a paper cut test very well, I'm happy with it. I'm not that kind of, edge, the 16 thousandths behind the edge and this, that, and the other. I'm not really into that kind of stuff. As long as it works for me in my daily use, I am perfectly fine, and this thing has performed excellent. So again, M390 on the blade steel, titanium frame lock, and you have the all titanium hardware, which is anodized blue. Pocket clip on this thing. It is not a deep carry pocket clip at all. You have about this much knife sticking up out of the pocket. It really doesn't bother me with this knife being such a badass knife, and it's beautiful in my opinion. I kind of want people to notice it and see it and want me to pull it out and show them. it just doesn't bother me. It carries so well and the flipper tab is very unobtrusive. It's not a pocket pecker or anything like that. And with this, how it kind of comes out right here on the handle, when I go to stick my hand, it kind of pushes my hand away from the flipper tab when it's in my pocket. I don't ever like really find myself catching on the flipper tab. It kind of just goes like this, and that's it. So very, very well done on here. There is a ton of internal milling going on in here. If you guys can see that on the inside, you got some internal milling on the show side and on the lock side, and that helps reduce the weight a ton. This thing is actually very lightweight for how big it is. This thing's about 8.5 inches in overall length, and you know it's a full-size knife, guys. It's not like a huge knife, but it's a full-size knife. 3.5-inch blade, 8.5 inches overall length, and this thing is pretty damn lightweight for a size. I wear cargo shorts all the time, pretty much year-round in Florida, and I have no issues carrying this thing whatsoever. So the carry on this, to me, is phenomenal. I haven't had, the clip has got good retention, but it's not overly tight neither. You can easily get this in and out of the pocket with one hand. So that's a huge plus for me. Action. I think it says in itself right here. Watch this. That flipper tab hits my thumb. Boom. The action is just freaking phenomenal. Little finger flick. I love that I got the flipper tab because it hits my thumb right here and then goes down. When I had Kyle's, I had to really move my thumb out of the way really quick because there was nothing but blade coming down. And as you guys can see, my thumb takes a beating when it comes to blades. And that's kind of the reason why I want a flipper tab as well. Hits there, comes down. Blade centering, and I've used this, guys. I've carried it. I haven't messed with it at all as far as disassembly. Dead nuts on the centering, guys. Fantastic centering on here. The flipper tab, easy to get to. The detent. Now, I'm not like Kevin, my brother left the EDC. I am not a diva over detents, but this thing has got a stronger detent. I will be the first to say it. It does have a stronger detent. It did take me a minute to get used to it when I first got it. Now, I have no problem reverse flicking it or anything. And that detent makes it so good with the flipper tab. I mean, it just rockets out. I mean, if you guys can hear that acoustics, that thwack it makes. I mean, it's so satisfying. I freaking love it. That detent just makes it so, once it breaks, I mean, it just flies out of the handle, guys. And as you can see, I could put my finger lower on the hole, still get it out, or at the top. This is mainly where I ride, right there at the top, and just flies out. I love that. Now, the one negative that I have about this knife, and I really only have one negative that I have. This thing is lock bar sensitive. Right here, it is lock bar sensitive. If I put my finger across here and then try to do it, I cannot get that blade. You can see me pushing. I cannot get that blade open. If I move my finger over here, away from the lock bar, opens right up. So it is lock bar sensitive. I find that I rest my fingers on the pocket clip when I use the flipper tab, opens up no problem. But if I am laying my fingers across here and putting any pressure on that lock bar, this blade will not open, not very easily. So over time, I've gotten used to it to where it's second nature, to where I lay my finger across this pivot screw right here. And that's how I know I'm in good, you know. I just lay it across, comes right open, no problem, right? Little weird at first to get used to. But now it's second nature. I've only done it once where I've accidentally laid my finger across the lock bar and slipped off of the hole. But if I had to give this thing one gripe, is that it is severely lock bar sensitive. Like, you can't have any pressure on that lock bar. The sharpening choil on here is done very, very well. The only jimping that they have is a little bit on the back spacer, and then right here on the lock bar, which is right where it should be, to disengage, to where it's very positive, very easy. This compared to like my J-cape. My J-cape, I got to put a lot more pressure to release this. This, absolutely none. It doesn't hurt my thumb. It doesn't, I don't have to like really give it gas in order to disengage the lock bar. I do have to give it more gas on like my J-cape, but this is done very, very, very well. Again, you have jimping back here on the back spacer, which, I mean, if you're going to use it in a reverse grip, it's probably not the most comfortable because it's kind of pointy right here, but I'm not the type that's really using my knife in this manner. It's mainly this way. So there's no jimping on the spine of the knife, which is a huge plus for me, guys. I'm not the biggest fan of jimping on knives. I just prefer it not to be there. I'm not using my knife in such a manner to where I need that locked in grip. I'm cutting open packages. I'm doing simple, mundane EDC tasks. So I really don't need no jimping. And for me, jimping can either be too aggressive, not aggressive enough to where it's, why is it there kind of thing. So I'm really, really glad that they did not put jimping on here. And it, man, this thing just melts into your freaking hand, guys. So I'm just going to swing over on to ergonomics. This thing is an ergonomic dream for me. It just fits my hand so well. I have so much control. I love how they have this relief cut out here, and then it kind of swells right here in the palm. It just gives me so much grip. This little swedge right here, how it comes out, just great for your thumb to land. I absolutely love it. Like, this is an ergonomic dream. This knife is just fantastic in the hand, and this is going to be good for guys with large size hands or even extra large size hands. You know, this is going to be fantastic. If you got really small hands, this knife may not be for you. But I think most people out there got medium to large size hands. This is going to be perfect. Oh, I can't get over the ergonomics of this thing. Freaking epic. So, we went over materials, titanium and M390. Went over ergos. It's fan-freaking-tastic. We went over all the little things, why I think it's a step above of knives like Chris Reeve, Strider, and stuff like that. Again, you're riding on bearings. The action is so damn smooth on this, which you're just not going to get off Chris Reeve. You might get it on Hinder with the bearings put in on the tri-way system. You may get that, but I don't know. $400 titanium and G10 with the bearings, you know, with 20 CV. It's a cool knife. It's a great knife, and they're severely customizable. But if you ask me, I would go the Koenig every single time. It's just a superior product in my mind. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Hinderer or Chris Reeve. They're great knives. For what they are, they're great knives. This just fits me and my personality and what I want in a knife more. That's just it. At the end of the day, it just fits me more. Fits my preference more. And I'm just super stoked that I got one of these. And I've been carrying this a ton. This has been my most carried knife now for the past couple weeks. And guys, I'm telling you, if you can get one, you know, they do have the secondary market for these. That's really hot right now. A lot of people are selling the Ariuses right now. So, you know, jump on the secondary and check them out because they are selling quite more frequently now than a few weeks ago. And I think that's because everybody's been getting in their ones from the drops that they've been doing and stuff like that. So obviously follow Koenig on Instagram and Facebook and all the Facebook groups and stuff like that. So you guys can see if you can snag one on a drop or get a good deal on the secondary market. But if you can get one and not severely overpay, it's okay in my opinion. In my opinion, it's okay if you're overpaying, you know, $50 or something like that or whatever. I see a lot of times this particular model that I got is going for $750. I think at that price, you're getting a good deal. You know what I mean? It's not severely overpriced because they're not exactly available everywhere. You have to hunt them down on the secondary, so $50 extra isn't that big of a deal, especially when you're already spending $700 on a knife. In my eyes, it's like, okay, what's another 50 bucks, to get something that I want? So that's just my opinion. Your mileage may vary, but that's just my opinion. Overall, Grady, what do you think about the Arius? I think it is a fan-fucking-tastic EDC knife. I think if you're thinking about one, if you're on the fence about one, if you have the funds to buy one, I don't think that you will be disappointed. However, some of these have lock bar issues. Mine does. Does that, defer my overall opinion of the knife? No, because I found a way to where I can still middle finger flick it just fine. Just move my finger up half an inch. That was the only thing. To some people, that'll bug them. Jake's knife does not have lock bar sensitivity, but I think he had a Gen 3 before he got his Gen 4. And if I didn't say, guys, this is a Gen 4. He had a Gen 3, and he said it was either lock bar pressure or the detent was just way too stiff for him. And the one that he has now is absolutely perfect. I don't want them to change the detent on this. And just so you guys get an idea. I mean, listen to that. That is a crisp detent to break. So it is a very strong detent, but I would not want them to change that. So that is the reason why I'm not sending anything back into Koenig, because I don't want them to change that. I don't want it to lose that action and just that rocketing out that it does. I don't want it to lose that. I'm okay with that. But to some people, I could see that would bug them, But so if I had to give it a knock, just know it may not happen with every single model, but it does happen, guys. They're only human, and that can happen. So the lock bar issue that I have is a real thing. So take that with a grain of salt. But overall, I think this thing is a fantastic EDC knife. It's got the multiple deployment methods, which is what I wanted. It's titanium, which is what I want. M390 is my favorite blade, EDC blade steel, which is what I wanted. The blue and the gray contrast, exactly what I wanted. I think it's sexy. I love the blade shape. This kind of drop point style blade right here is very functional, very useful. I love the swedge. I love the fact that I got the stone wash on the grind right here, and then the satin flats. I love that contrast. I think it looks sexy and just awesome. So the part of the knife that I'm actually using is stone washed, and the part that I'm not is satin. I just think that is, I love it. The action, that drop shut, and I love that it's more of like a controlled drop. You see how I can move my thumb fairly fast, and it just has a controlled drop? It's not like a guillotine where I'm worried about slicing my thumb open. Look at that. I love it. Blade centering, fit, finish. I went over how the titanium is held up amazingly, and I have put this in my pocket a shit ton and carried it and used it, and it doesn't even look like it has any scratches that I can see on this thing. Dude, Koenig has just, knocked it out of the park with the Arius in my mind. I am super pumped for the mini Arius to come out, and who knows, that might be like my favorite knife ever because it's a smaller version of this. Now, I'm not saying I would get rid of this. I would definitely keep this. This has got some sentimental value to me now because it's got my son's birthday on it, and it is my favorite knife in my collection right now. So I really don't see myself selling this. This is a keeper for me. This is definitely a keeper. I love it, and I've just been enjoying it, and I'm super pumped that I am now the proud owner of a Koenig Arius. But when the mini Arius comes out, that might take the reign over this. It might be my new favorite because it is a smaller knife. So I'm super excited for those. I don't think those are going to be released until like 2022 probably is when those are going to start coming out, and I am most definitely going to be picking one up for myself. So really pumped for that. But that is going to do it with this one, guys. Again, the Koenig Arius, a fan-freaking-tastic EDC knife in a league of its own. I think it's awesome. If you don't have one and you're interested, I'd highly recommend picking one of these up. I can wholeheartedly tell you that you will absolutely love the knife. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me rambling on. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys in the next one.